There's a strange moment that happens somewhere around your late 50s. Nobody tells you about it. There's no retirement seminar for it, no HR webinar, no motivational LinkedIn post written by a man named Trent who calls himself a thought architect. No, it's the moment you realize you're completely done with work. But is work done with you? You see, when you're younger, you think exhaustion is temporary. You think one day you'll make it, maybe after the next promotion, maybe after the mortgage shrinks, maybe after the kids move out, maybe after the investments grow. You keep assuming there's a finish line because every system around you quietly implies it. Work hard now so you can relax later. But then later shows up, wearing orthopedic shoes and reading glasses, and suddenly you realize the machine never intended to let you off the ride in the first place. It just slows down enough to keep you conscious. I remember sitting in my cubicle one Tuesday morning staring at a spreadsheet so meaningless it actually felt philosophical. Rows of numbers, quarterly projections, forecast adjustments, a meeting about another meeting where nobody would decide anything because the people making the decisions were in another meeting about a meeting. And I had a bizarre out-of-body realization. I don't care anymore. Not in a dramatic way. Not I quit. Not I'm moving to the cabin in the woods. Nothing cinematic or dramatic like that. I just quietly realized my soul had already retired years ago. My body simply hadn't received the financial clearance yet. That's the weird thing nobody says aloud. Most people don't burn out all at once. It's not flames and sirens. It's more like your internal operating system slowly entering into a low power mode. You still show up. You still answer emails. You still nod during the meetings. You still say things like circle back and we'll look at that later. Which, by the way, in corporate language means let's continue pretending this actually matters. But internally, you're done. You've seen way too much at this point. You've watched companies preach loyalty while laying off people old enough to remember fax machines. You've watched executives announce record profits right before cutting staff because the shareholders wanted slightly more recorded profits. You sat through mandatory morale-building exercises led by a 32-year-old named Ashley who thinks burnout can be solved with mindfulness coloring sheets. Meanwhile, your lower back sounds like microwave popcorn every time you stand up. And somewhere in all this, you realize the greatest scam wasn't the work itself. It was convincing people that constant work was life. That your existence should orbit productivity metrics until your organs give notice. The crazy part is, I don't even hate working. I hate meaningless work. There's a difference. Human beings actually like effort when it matters. Building something, solving problems, helping people make things with your hands or your brain. We're wired for contribution. But modern office culture turned work into this endless theater performance where everyone pretends to care about things nobody will remember in 6 months. I spent 40 years in IT. 40 years. Do you know what that does to a man psychologically? I've survived like 17 industry revolutions, 22 software migrations, 6 corporate rebrands, and approximately 4,000 passwords. Don't get me started on passwords. Every year they announce some new platform that's, going to change everything. Then 2 years later, they quietly abandon it and pretend it never happened. The amount of human energy wasted inside corporations could probably power a small moon. And yet, the really uncomfortable part, even after you wake up to all of this, you still need the money. That's the part the internet gurus skip over while filming videos beside rented Lamborghinis or big pools with lots of people drinking champagne. Just quit your job and follow your passion. Fantastic. I'll just pay my electric bill using passion. Maybe the grocery store accepts personal freedom as currency now. No, most people can't just walk away. You've got responsibility, costs, maybe aging parents, maybe health concerns, maybe retirement savings that suddenly look less retiree every time the market sneezes. So you end up in this bizarre psychological limbo. You no longer believe in, the system, but you still depend on it. That's the hard realization. Because once you see the illusion, it becomes exhausting to participate in it any further. It's like realizing professional wrestling is scripted, but still having to attend every match for another 10 years. You sit in meetings thinking, none of this is real. None of it matters. The mission statements, the synergy talks, the fake urgency, the annual reviews where somebody half your age rates your engagement levels while secretly terrified of being replaced by AI themselves. And maybe that's why so many people around our age look tired in a way that sleep just doesn't fix. It's not physical fatigue. It's an existential fatigue. It's carrying around the knowledge that you traded most of your healthy years for security, only to discover that security itself is temporary. And that can hit pretty hard sometimes. But strangely enough, I don't think this realization is entirely bad. Painful, yes, but clarifying. Because once you stop worshiping the traditional work model, your brain starts asking different questions. Not, how do I climb higher? But how little do I actually need? What kind of work still feels, human? How do I buy back my time? How do I slowly reduce dependence on a system I no longer respect or want to be part of? Those are better questions. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. They assume escaping has to be immediate, has to be right now. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be right now. Sometimes the smartest move isn't quitting dramatically, throwing things against the wall and marching out. It's quietly building alternatives while the paycheck still exists. That's the shift I've been making. And it's kind of the shift I'm hoping you guys will make as well. Instead of trying to become some millionaire entrepreneur guru nonsense, I started looking for leverage. Tiny leverage. A small online income stream. Learning how digital products work. Understanding audiences. Writing, creating. Selling things once instead of endlessly trading your hours to do it over and over again. Not because I need a private jet, because God knows I don't need a private jet. I'm 60. I just want to be comfortable in my shoes, have low stress. That's the dream now. I don't want financial domination anymore. That's not even on the radar. I want Tuesday afternoon freedom. That's wealth to me. Being able to wake up without an alarm clock and decide what to do with my remaining years before some pharmaceutical commercial just starts describing every one of the symptoms I'm experiencing every day. And maybe that's the real awakening people have later in life. Stop fantasizing about luxury, whatever that means, and start fantasizing about autonomy. Nobody talks about that enough. Autonomy. The dream isn't necessarily to stop working forever. In fact, it's not even realistic to think about that. The dream is to stop feeling trapped. To do work because you choose to work slower, to work smarter, to work on your own terms, to stop selling every ounce of mental energy to organizations that would replace you before your parking spot cooled down. That realization changes things. It doesn't change it overnight, but gradually. And honestly, maybe that's the healthier approach anyway. Not some dramatic escape fantasy, big smoke and mirrors and explosions and storming out. Just a steady reclaiming of your own life, piece by piece, hour by hour, skill by skill, until eventually your job becomes your funding source for freedom instead of your permanent identity. I think that's where a lot of us are now. We're not lazy, we're not ungrateful, we're not having a breakdown. We don't need to blow up what we've built. We're just finally starting to see the equation a little bit more clearly. And like I said earlier, Once you see it, you can't unsee it. But that's the beginning of something better, I think. That's how it goes. Not retirement. Not escape. Just finally learning how to belong to yourself again. As always, this has been Over 40 with Duff. If you've enjoyed today's video, please like, follow, and share this channel. There's more content like this to come. Better yet, subscribe if you'd be so kind. It really helps out the channel. So until next time, please remember this. If not now, when?